Okay, we're back from that brief break, and again, right before break, I was telling you we will be giving this item away to the eighth caller when we take our next break. So when we go to that break, the person who calls in on the eighth call, if there's that many people watching, I never know. But that being said, the eighth caller will get this free Soleos Go. It is a nice item. It does connect to your phone. It is Bluetooth capable, keeps track of your activity, your speed, phone alerts, and things of that nature. So I think we have Mary on the phone. Mary?
Yes, I would like to know about pulmonary hypertension.
Okay.
I know there's nothing that can actually help it, but is there anything I can do to ease things along until, because I know it's going to get worse, but I don't know if there's any, I won't say prevention, but rather something that I could be doing to ease it up especially in the long run.
Okay. Pulmonary hypertension is a condition that is very, it's a very difficult condition that when you get that, because the blood vessels or the circulation from the right side of the heart to the left side of the heart is a very short circulation, and usually the blood vessels, because of the short distance, are very loose and they're very easy to get blood from your heart through your lungs. What usually causes pulmonary hypertension is a chronic lack of oxygen to the lungs, and that causes the blood vessels to become, they constrict. Once the blood saturations drop below 88%, which means the amount of oxygen that exists in the blood, almost like salt in water type of thing, once that saturation falls below 88%, the pulmonary vasculature tends to tighten up, and it's like any muscle. If I take 10 pounds and put it on my wrist and I exercise it and I continue to do that, and then I exercise it more and more, add more weight, my biceps are going to grow in size. And that is the same phenomenon that happens within the heart as within those blood vessels. The problem is if you have blood pressure in your peripheral circulation, it's reversible, meaning I can give you medication to control that blood pressure. Once you develop pulmonary hypertension, it is, at this time in medicine, an irreversible condition. Preventing it from going further, Mary, the biggest issue is keeping your oxygen saturations elevated, making sure that they stay above 88% and eliminating those activities that you could do that could cause further narrowing of the blood vessels, such as smoking or traveling to high altitudes and things of that nature. If you have COPD, getting it treated regularly, taking your medications, being very compliant. I know there are some medications that are in the works, meaning to help dilate those blood vessels, so that's why I say that it may be somewhat treatable. I know they've used Viagra and other dilating medications to try and treat that, but I am not a specialist who dwells in that particular condition. I think the biggest thing is just keeping your saturations up, making sure that if you're using oxygen, making sure that you're not desaturating at night, making sure if you have sleep apnea, you get that treated, and using the oxygen. So I hope that answers your question. The big thing is just staying healthy, doing the things you need to do that your doctors are ordering, seeing the correct specialist, keeping up on the latest treatments, and hopefully that will mitigate the progression and help alleviate the symptoms. If it's allowed to progress further, you will put a strain on the right side of the heart. You can get into right-sided heart failure, and that will back up into your liver, causing edema in your legs and throughout your body. So it is a very ominous situation and deserves all of your attention. Okay, so again, one of the things that Ray had called about not this show, but the show was blood type, and he raised a very interesting question. I promised to put a slide together, and I did, and so we're going to bring that slide up and probably carry it over into the next part of the show. But what I designed was a slide to show you how, hopefully this makes it simple for you, But the concept is you have to understand that if your blood type, and I listed them on that side, if your blood type is A positive, what that means is your red cells have a marker with an A on it, and they also have a marker with a plus on it. So you inherit your blood type from your parents. Basically, your mom has one type and your dad has one type, and you get a combination of that. That's why there's two markers. You can have, if you looked at it, you would have A and then what they call a null or a zero, okay? Or you could have, the genetics are very complicated, but you could have AA, or you could have A null, which means there's A and a nothing. So one from your mother and one from your father. The positive sign is what we call Rh factor, and you can again get one from your mom or one from your dad, and they're either positive or negative. You can have two negatives, which equal a negative. Positive, negative usually equals positive, and positive, positive is positive. So with that being said, your body not only does it come with a red cell with a marker on it and a Rh type, it also produces constant antibodies or anti whatever you have. So if you look at your type A positive, you can donate, okay, to an A positive person. And you cannot donate to an A negative person. And the reason why is because the A positive person has, basically the A negative person has antibodies already in their system to positive blood. And so it will contract that blood and eat it up. So you, as a positive Rh factor, you can only donate blood to other positive Rh factors. So A can donate to AB. Why AB? Well, because you're AB, if you look down that list, you can see AB positive is basically the universal recipient. It can receive anybody's blood because it has no antibodies to anybody's blood, okay? Because it has an A, it has a B as a positive, so it can't have antibodies or destructive proteins to its own blood. And then the A positive person can actually donate that to an O negative. Why O negative? Well, O negative, basically, basically, if I'm an O negative, I can receive anybody's blood, okay? Basically, because actually O negative can get you can give O negative blood to anybody because it has no markers on the blood, meaning if I'm an A positive person, I'm going to try and destroy anything that is B, anything that is negative. Okay, we have caller David on the phone. David?
Hello, Dr. Reiner. Yes, this is David, and I have a question regarding Gingo Biloba.
Because
I have
what?
a friend that had a stroke, and he has an issue with memory.
Okay.
Now, off the internet, I was led to believe that Gingo Biloba was not something that they would suggest. Yet, a friend of mine who's called the Flagman told me that while he was watching his mother, and she had an issue with memory, he would give her a Gingo Biloba, and it would restore her memory for the moment. What are your feelings on that?
Okay. Well, that, again, a lot of herbs do a lot of things that nobody really studies, but I've heard that also. But when people have strokes, they've actually destroyed brain tissue. So with that being said, it's not just a clouding of their circulation or some other issue that's taking place. You've actually wiped that tissue out. That being said, you can't bring back something dead or to a life that was dead. So as we go through life, we are constantly losing brain tissue. And I wish I could show you the curve, but it would be like a natural slow, curve of losing tissue. All of a sudden you have a stroke, and now you drop down to 3 levels down, and then you continue the loss from that particular point. So stroke victims usually do not respond to any of the memory-enhancing medications because of just a wiping out of that brain tissue. And circulation or things that increase blood flow may not make any difference, or anything that increases memory channels may not make any difference because of the loss of the tissue. So I think that would explain why a person person who had a stroke isn't going to respond to it, and Ginkgo biloba may help those people who certainly have some memory deficits and may do that. But I caution you about herbs. Read up on them, use them carefully, and watch for the desired effect, and also watch for the desired side effects. We're going to be, again, going to break, so in just a few minutes. And when we do, I remind you that call-in number, 727-8750, to pick this up, and hopefully you're the magic 8th caller. Don't ask me why I picked number 8, but that's the number we'll be calling. So again, when we come back from the break, I'm going to bring up the blood slide, blood type slide, and that is something that if you want to have done, it is something you can ask your doctor to do for you, but it is not something that we normally do on anybody. We do it before you go to the hospital. If you happen to know your blood type and you need blood, they will type and cross, which means they will test your blood in the emergency room or the lab, and they will cross-match you to what blood they have there that they can make sure that you can take, because blood transfusion reactions can be quite nasty. Allergic reactions, blood clots, things of that nature. So we want to try to avoid any of those conditions. But a lot of people want to know blood type, and they want to know how it works. So when we come back from break, we'll pick up on that. And again, once we go to break, be the 8th caller, pick this up. Thank you very much for tuning in.